Shall we do a little singing? Do you have a prayer book with you? If not, share one. We're going to begin on top of page 10 with Hine Matov. Hey, Gail, come on in. There's a seat for you right over here.
Are there more handouts? Paper handouts? Or
Top of page 10, it's a Hebrew book.
Great.
Goes from right to left. We have two guests from Pepperdine, students at Pepperdine, Caroline and Julia. So they're over here next to me. I may be filling them in a little bit as we go. So everybody else is a member of our community. This is Noah. Noah and Ilana is our rabbinic intern this year. She's going to be ordained a rabbi. Her dad's a rabbi, so she's going into the family business. But Noah and Ilana are getting married in Excelsior Springs, Missouri. Her family's from Kansas, in June. Isn't that nice? Yep. So shall we do a little singing? How good it is for all of us to be here. Hine Matov.
Page 10 at the top.
Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Yalalai, yalalalalai. Hine matov, hine matov. Yalalai, yalalalalai. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
On page 10, if you look 2 prayers down, you see the words Yedid Nefesh. And Yedid Nefesh is a prayer that actually, we don't really know who wrote it. The rabbis kind of said, well, this guy wrote it, and this guy wrote it, and no one really wanted to take responsibility. But the song itself is beautiful. And it's our way of welcoming Shabbat. And it's a song with so much imagery. And you can see below, it talks about a deer. And it talks about, to me, it's the beauty of Shabbat, that welcoming Shabbat is like a deer prancing across the road. Hopefully with you watching it and not with your car moving towards it. And it's that deer across the road. It's that joy that we see. And Yedi Nefesh, for me, encapsulates that joy. And it's that opportunity to celebrate the joy of Shabbat. And as our service tonight is our poetry Shabbat, I figured what better way to start Shabbat than with a poem. And with a majestic Kabbalistic poem. And so we'll start with that poem, and then we'll continue into our Shabbat service. And while Cantor Doug is joining us, he introduced me earlier. I am rabbinic intern Ilana Nemetov, and I am so pleased to be here with Cantor Doug, and Rabbi Paul is traveling east right now to be with his parents as his mom recovers from a stroke last month. She's doing very well. Full recovery is very expected, but he wanted to spend some time with her, and Rabbi Julia is spending time with her family. And like I said, as tonight is our Torah and poetry Shabbat, and we'd like to invite in our guests, and we have 2 chairs right here for you if you want to come join us. As it's poetry Shabbat, our Torah portion this evening, or tomorrow, is Ha'azinu, and it forms 2 columns. It's a poem itself, and so we'll be exploring poems as a way of exploring the service and a way of exploring Torah. And I invite you to join us in the experience Yedid Nefesh, page 10.
Yedid nefesh avarachaman, Yedid nefesh avarachaman, Meshochav decha el retzonecha, Meshochav decha, la 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 la, el retzonecha. Yarutz avdecha, kemaya, ishtachave, la la la, ya la 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 la, el muladarecha. Yarutz avdecha, kemaya, ishtachave, la la la, ya la 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 la, el muladarecha.
And in order to welcome us in, Cantor Doug said that we're mostly all community, we mostly all know each other. But even though we know each other, it's nice to know who we're praying next to. So I invite you to stand up. Stand up.
Stand up.
Put your prayer books down. Find someone you know, find someone you don't know, and introduce yourself. Say hi, say Shabbat Shalom. Just say hi to someone. Say hi. Welcome them.
Where are you guys from? Texas? Where? Dallas? I'm from Oxnard. Oxnard? Yeah.
Folks, now that I've set you loose, I invite you back to your seats.
Okay, quit having so much fun. Back to your seats.
Now that I've let you introduce yourselves, I invite you back to your seats. I invite you to turn to page 2, and I invite the Linnick family up to light our Shabbat candles. Elisa and Lawrence, Sheva and Jason when he comes back.
La 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav Etzivanu le'adlik neh Etzivanu Etzivanu le'adlik neh Shel Shabbat La 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 la
Thank you. And once we welcome the Shabbat light, we welcome Shabbat officially with our Shabbat song with Lechado D, which can be found on page 20. And Lechado D, another poem. The rabbis really liked poems, especially in Tzfat, in their town in northern Israel, that Kabbalistic town. They loved Shabbat. For me, is a holiday of poems. It begins with poetry, begins with 6 psalms that lead us up to Lechado D, to this majestic poem of a love poem between us as Jews and Shabbat and God, and it's all wrapped up in Shabbat and God and Jews together, and we get to incorporate them all together, and we get to find ourselves as part of the poem. And so we will sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and join together in prayer. And I invite you, when we get to verse 9, I invite you to rise and face the doors as we welcome in Shabbat together. Lechado D, page 20.
Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela. 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 First verse. Shahamor v'zachor b'diburecha, Ishmi'anu el ha'meuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela.
Second verse.
Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor haveracha, leherosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela. Number 5. Hitoreri, Kivarech kumi uri shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigala. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela.
We rise and face the door to welcome the Sabbath bride.
Shahamor v'zach boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala.
We come face each other again.
Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela. Lechado di likrat kala, ene Shabbat nekavela.
I invite you to be seated. We will continue with Baruch, but Cantor Doug has a beautiful song, which I'm going to call a poem. Can I call it a poem?
Sure, yeah.
which I think is a poem.
Sure.
And that will be our introduction into our Baruch and our way in. And so when he reaches the Hebrew, I'll invite us to stand and rise and pray Baruch together facing the ark. But till then, I invite you to experience what Baruch is. Baruch and Ma'ariv Aravim are Baruch and the prayer right after it about the universe and what does that all mean for us.
There's a hole in the universe from which nothing escapes. Things fall through to the other side, come out in different shapes.
It is not in your song sheet.
Who is beyond all time? Where is the end of space? What lives forever? Why is it all in place? The stars in the sky send out a flare as they burn into ash. Their light bears a message of yesterday's news. All things must pass. Who is beyond all time? Where is the end of space? What lives forever? Why is it all in place? So many questions, so little time to ask them. Blessed are you, Adonai. How can we know you? Where can we find you? You are so close and yet so far away. A tiny egg, a little seed. Life begins with a breath. 6 long days, the work is good, and on the 7th there's rest. Who is the source of life? What makes the seasons flow? Where do we come from? When will we ever know? Et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
I now would like to invite Marcy Cameron to read for us the first poem on your handout, A Walk Alone in the Woods.
A walk alone in the woods. A walk alone in the woods. The light filters through the tall pines, casting shadows of dappled leaves. The color shifts with the wind, at one moment vibrant, the next muted. The sound of those same leaves whispers by, as the river drifts through the valley. That whisper is echoed by the flow of the river, washing away impurity and opening chasms. Water's power is evident here, as the granite towers thousands of feet above. Yet the sunset hits the peaks at the perfect angle, creating the perfect illusion of soft beauty. Together the valley beams of magnificence, reverberating with the power of nature. Her Majesty speaks of another power capable of sweeping creation of brilliance. Here we must only be a visitor, protecting this royal expense. We witness the beauty and awe, taking only our memories of the expanse.
Mariv Aravim, all about how do we witness the beauty of creation, is found on page 30. And at the very bottom of the page, you can find what we call a chatima, the seal at the end of a prayer. And so I invite us to pray that seal together, to pray those 5 words in Hebrew, meaning, blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening, to help us remember how awesome our world is. So I invite us to pray together in those 5 Hebrew words. Together, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. So now, once we have witnessed our creation and witnessed our universe and witnessed our love for our universe, we witness our love for God with Shema, and I don't need to yell anymore. We witness our love for God with Shema and Ve'ahavta. On page 35, we'll pray, listen together, and then when we reach the end, we'll rise for Shema. I invite you to sing with us.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of highest hill, from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malechuto Leolam. to our God.
In the book of the prophets in our Tanakh, in our Bible, we have a story that in the wind and the thunder, God's voice didn't exist. We couldn't hear that voice. And not until all those passed did God's voice showed up, and it showed up in a still small voice. And I don't know if this was Cantor Doug's intention. I assume it was. But when we read about the wind and the thunder disappearing and there's still a voice that you can hear, that's where you hear God. And that God is not the God that hangs out on a high mountain and screams really loudly and yells at people and punishes people. It's the God that's inside each of us. And it's the part of each of us that connects to each other. And so for us, Shema and Ve'ahavta are the ways that we connect in. For us in Judaism, Shema is the first 6 words that someone who's converting says as a new convert, as someone being welcomed into the Jewish community. And so it's our opportunity to say, Shema, listen. Listen not just to the people around you, but listen to that voice inside you. And so listen itself, all of our prayers are poems. Listen is a poem for us to connect in, to find that voice inside us, and to hear ourselves, and to hear God. And so in order to hear God, we have to know when to hear God and where. And for that, we reach Ve'ahavta. We reach our prayer on page 36, and we chant Ve'ahavta together.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol melodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam v'shivtecha v'betecha u'v'lechlecha b'derech u'v'shachlecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We will continue with Mi Chamocha on page 40, but first I'd like to invite Susie Goldbeck to read for us the next poem, the second poem on your sheet.
Will you open your soul to me? Will you open your soul to me? Will you speak your mind? Can you love me? Will you take my words? Take them with you. Teach them in sunshine. Teach them in kitchens. Make these words psalms. Make them stories and philosophy. Repeat them until they are music. Wrap yourself inside the sounds. Write these words and keep the writings close at hand. Or better yet, know them by heart, to gaze upon them with mind's eye, to carry them wherever you go, as your prayer at night, most important words you speak in the morning. And when you're not sure you can love me, Remember the narrow place, Mitzrayim. Remember, everything still depends on our love.
This poem encourages us to remember that we all have narrow places, but with love, we find our way past them. Mi Chamocha is our collective Jewish experience of moving past that narrow place and finding ourselves back together into freedom. We join together.
La 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 la
Vishamru, our song and poem for Shabbat.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam v'nilven b'nei Yisrael oti leolam oti leolam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת
what's your last name? Schwartz, to pray for us our next poem. It's the first poem on the next page. Lador Vador.
Look into her face.
You gotta hold it much closer.
Look into her face. What do you see? The lines written into her skin through years of life. The bright glow of eyes radiant with curiosity. The bright eyes full of love after suffering so much. The hands scarred from everyday tasks of cooking, cleaning, loving. The mouth open in laughter, willing to experience everything with a smile. The mouth poised in question, gently encouraging you to rethink your actions. The hair brilliant white, showing years of worry for what her family might become. The hair brilliant white, windswept from her morning kayak ride. She holds the future in her frame, just as she tells the story of the past. She becomes the tie between each generation. She becomes each of us, held together by memories, by love, by life. She is our ancestors. As we pray the Amidah, we connect ourselves to those who came before, to our foremothers and forefathers. We see ourselves as part of a continuous chain of tradition. I invite you to rise as we begin the Amidah on page 48.
46?
48.
48.
Lie, 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 la, la, lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Yael la la la, yael la la la, yael la la. Page 50. La 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 la, yael la la. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. זומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומטר אסורים. מקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מהלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
52.
לה 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 אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל קדוש. לה 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 לה
the words on pages 54 through 62 or those in your heart. And when you're finished, I invite you to have a seat.
יהיו לרצון אמרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. It's in the middle of 62 if you want to follow the Hebrew. יהיו לרצון אמרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגורל לי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגורלי. יהיו לרצון אמרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון אמרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Want to try it once with me? Yehiyu leratzon imrefi, Egion libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi, Egion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, gorali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai Can we try this together? Come on. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi, egion libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi, egion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, gorali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, gorali.
I invite you to rise as we take our Torah from the Ark, and we are on page 248, and then 246, and then quickly on 248.
Ki metzion tetzeh Torah, Ki metzion tetzeh דבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. Put your prayer book on the seat behind you. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Lo yisad goy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisad goy el goy cherem, yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisakoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisakoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od. Please be seated. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
So our Torah portion tomorrow, today, this week, in fact, after Yom Kippur, because that was a different Torah portion. We had to roll the Torah to get to here. Our Torah portion is near the very end of our Torah. It's Parshat Ha'azinu. It means listen, give ear, and make sure you pay attention. So you're all paying attention? There's going to be a test afterwards. Just kidding, there's not. We made it through Yom Kippur, so now we can breathe a little bit. You made it.
I made it.
Yeah. Your voice changed, but you made it.
Yeah, I still haven't. It'll recover.
So, for
Encore.
Ha'azinu, it's our poem of listen up. And in order to listen, we have to all be present. And so we have two wonderful, beautiful Torah readers. We have Susie and Elisa. And Elisa, right? Alyssa, I'm so
Alyssa,
sorry.
that's
Alyssa.
okay.
And in order to celebrate them reading Torah, I wanted to see, is there anyone else who's experienced something wonderful in their week that wants to celebrate with an aliyah? Noah? You climbed a mountain, okay. Anyone else?
Oh, yeah. Gail's and my younger son got married this week.
Mazel tov. Other simchas?
Who's gonna top that?
Hard top.
Okay.
Okay, so
We get an
you
aliyah?
get an aliyah, come on up.
Okay, come on
You
up,
too.
I
Gail.
think that's not quite on the same level.
That's okay.
It's okay.
It was Noah that got married, so.
Okay, I'll do the standard.
Fun.
Yeah, you be our Noah.
So you'll do the aliyah, and I'd like to invite up both of our readers, and Diane, careful. So actually, if you turn to your sheet that you have on the second page, the first two verses are the first two verses that Susie is reading. I don't have the next two verses, but the first two verses you have, and then we'll see the next two verses once we've read.
Big pop. Where are we reading from?
We're there.
Yeah, I know.
blessings are on page 250.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Yes. I'm not leaving on the microphone. Well, they gotta hear you.
Amen. Ha'azinu hashamayim va'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi ya'arov kamatar likchi tizal katal imrati kisirim ale deshe v'chir vivim ale sev. Thank you. Ki Shem Adonai. Ki Shem Adonai Ekra Havu Godel Leloheinu Hatur Tamim Polo Ki Chodrachav Mishpat El Emunah Ve'ein Avel Tzadik Ve'yashar Hu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam natan b'tokeinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten HaTorah. Amen.
With Torah in our midst, we are honored to have all of us here, and we know that when we're here, we know that sometimes people aren't able to be with us. And sometimes there are people who are suffering from illness of body or mind or spirit. And so we want to think about them with the Torah in our midst and ask for prayers of healing. So on page 253, you'll find the prayer Mishaberach. And as you're turning my hand, I'm going to move my hand across the room, and I invite you, if there's someone you're thinking of in need of healing, to share their name and your relationship to them as my hand reaches you. Page 53, Mishaberach. We pray for healing. 253.
find the courage to make our life a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
we ask for healing for those people. If you turn in your handout to the part that says Ha'azina Poetry, we're going to do a short text study, short learning together. It is currently 8:28. We will be done by 8:48. We'll be done in 20 minutes.
She is going to be a great rabbi. Wow, when has a rabbi ever said that?
Okay, but we got to do this speedily. So, can someone read for us the first reading, Deuteronomy 32, 1 through 2 in English? Okay, we're not going to be out by 8:48 if no one reads.
Give ear, O heavens, let me speak. Let the earth hear the words I utter. May my discourse come down as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, like showers on young growth, like droplets on the grass.
Okay, I need just words. What are the images you're getting? Happy, sad? What are the feelings? What's coming up for you? Just reading those 2 lines. Just words. We're going to be here a long time. Water.
Springtime.
Water, spring. What else?
Nature.
Nature. Growth. What else? Are we happy? Are we sad? Are we lonely? Are we joyful? What's going on emotionally? Any idea?
Maybe like needing to be heard.
Okay, needing to be heard. Is there any negativity in that? No. Almost none, right? Or no negativity there. Okay, now someone read for me 32, 18 to 20. Go for it, Jason.
Thank you. You neglected the rock. You neglected the rock that beat God with. Forgot the God who brought you forth. Adonai saw and was vexed and spurned his sons and daughters. He said, I will hide my countenance from them and see how they fare in the end, where they are a treacherous breed, children with no loyalty.
Minus the he, which is supposed to say God. That was my bad. Minus that. What's going on here? What's the language? What shifted?
Anger.
Punitive, anger. Yeah. We're no longer happy in springtime, are we? No. So our poem within 16 verses has shifted dramatically. Unfortunately, it shifts dramatically much earlier than that, but this is closer to the end. Here, God acknowledges that the people haven't always been so great, so what's God promising to do to the people? God's promising to bring a pretty radical punishment. God says, fine, you're going to suffer. And I don't care. I'm going to ignore you. And so that's our theme of the poem, okay? And if that's our theme of the poem, who wants to read that near the end of the Torah? I don't. If we're reading the end of the Torah, what message do you want to hear at the very end?
Something good.
Hope, something good. What else?
They lived happily ever after.
They lived happily ever after. Well, we're sitting here, so that's a good thing. Dinner's served. Amen. We want to hear a message of positivity. We want to hear something uplifting. I don't I want to go into a new land with this message. I would be pretty downtrodden and not willing to listen. So the next part that we have here, Deuteronomy 31:19, gives us a rationale. So often the Torah doesn't tell you why something happens, it just happens. Fortunately, we get a rationale for why we're getting this. So can someone read for us Deuteronomy 31, verse 19? Go for it, Dan.
Therefore, write down this poem and teach it to the people of Israel. Put it in their mouths, in order that this poem may be my witness against the people of Israel.
So what's God's reason for giving us this poem?
Make us remember to behave.
To make us remember to behave. Does anyone disagree or have another thought?
Testimony of foretelling.
A testimony of what?
Foretelling.
A foretelling of what's going to happen in the future? Oh, so this is going to happen to you if you do this, or just period?
No, it's a threat. It's,
This is a threat. This is what your life's going to look like. Good luck. Or if you do this, this is going to happen. So it's either. Go ahead.
You not to neglect God or forget about God.
It's a reminder, kind of what Gary said. If you don't do this, here's what's going to happen. If you don't remember God, here's what's going to happen.
So is this our explanation for the Holocaust?
wow.
So some might say yes. I'm going to say absolutely not. It's a good question. And I think often we as Jews go to, well, the Holocaust is the worst thing. I'm going to say no, this isn't our explanation. I think of this as this is a reminder to the people that when you don't act the way God has asked us, God doesn't remember you. But my understanding of God is not a God that allows the Holocaust to happen. That God I don't believe in. The God I believe in is the God that's inside us. So there's poetry about the Holocaust, and it says that God wasn't what made the Holocaust happen, and God didn't forget about the Jews. God was next to the Jews in the barracks, and God was next to the Jews in the camps, and God was with us in every step of the way. And so for me, the poem is a reminder to us that when we forget about God, we lose the goodness in our world. So I don't think that the Holocaust is, that God said in Deuteronomy 32, the Holocaust is going to happen if you forget me. But I think it's the reminder that if we forget God, we forget to walk towards God. So it's that in the Holocaust, we as Jews forget to live if we lose God. We forget to move forward, and we forget to find that spark inside us to connect to others. That's, I think there's a minute difference, but I think the difference is significant. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, tell me.
No, there's a tremendous difference. I just don't know that I agree.
Okay, you push back.
Well, if you're not observant, God is going to, in essence, turn his back on you. It's not that the Holocaust was the punishment for the secularization of the German Jewish community, but the lack of response from God in a direct and preventative way is foretold here.
My response to that is that we have to be partners with God. We can't sit around doing nothing. And to me, the response gutturally that just came through from my gut is just that, no, it's that people all over the world weren't responding. We needed to come together. We needed to pull together to be partners with God and making it better.
Well, we're
It
saying the same
wasn't-
thing, just
Pardon?
from a different perspective. What provides the spark for the people around the world to do the work that we in some way attribute to God? That's that godliness, that incentive. The United States closed its doors to the fleeing refugees, as did most of the world. And in some ways, that's reflective of God turning his back on the suffering.
So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this is a really important conversation. and I want to have it with you. I think that talking about the Holocaust is incredibly important. I'm going to say for us in this conversation right now, I'm going to pull us a little further away from the Holocaust. I'm not going to discount what you're saying, and I'm not going to discount the conversation. And I'm happy to talk about it later. I want to pull us back to the Torah and argue for me that the poem and the tremendousness of the words that are used are not actually meant to say God's going to turn God's back on us. I think that the poem says something very different. And I think the poem for us is actually like what you said. It's a reminder to us that we can't stop. So I want to actually have you look at the last text. It's from the 19th century commentator, Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, on the verse that we read before. And I want to read that as a way of understanding what he thinks the poem might be about. Okay? Does someone want to read that for us? Okay.
In poetry, there is a richness that comes from it having been adorned with all kinds of hints in a way that isn't done with prose, like the custom of using the first letter in each line to spell out the alphabet or to write out the poet's name. There's a richness that is special to this fragmented language and not to prose. And it is well known that in order to achieve this level of richness, the poet is often forced to bend the language so that the beginning letters end up being the ones he is seeking. Aside from the most basic, simple reading, there is in every word many secrets and hidden ideas. Because of this, there are many instances when the language of the Torah is not to be read literally. And all this is not true for the Holy Torah alone, but with all sacred scripture.
So then, if poetry, which Hazinu is poetry, if poetry is meant to serve a different purpose, what is that purpose, according to this text? To find the hidden meaning, what else? Not to take it literally. I also think, to some extent, to soften the message, which you don't get because of what I brought you, but the message is softened to some extent. It's not, here's what's going to happen to you, that we get earlier and later, but it's, here's a message, here's a careful warning. So if it's to tell us that there's a hidden message inside, what do we think the hidden message might be? Stay focused on what?
God.
Stay focused on God. What else?
Stay focused on what's important.
Stay focused on what's important, and what's that?
I don't know, life.
Life. What else? So we heard. Did we read Nitzavim?
At services?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So if you were in services 2 days ago in the morning, you heard Parshat Nitzavim, which happens two chunks before this. And in Nitzavim, we're told, Uvacharta b'chayim, and you shall choose life. And for us, that's our most powerful moment. And it's our moment where we hear, you have the opportunity for blessings and for curses. You could go down the curses route. You're going to be miserable, but you can go down there. We have many more curses in our Torah than blessing. Many more. But we're told, Uvacharta b'chayim, and you shall choose life. This poem reminds us that if we're not careful, we're not choosing life. We choose to walk away from God, we get to make that choice. And it's not that God's going to punish us and we are going to have this awful punishment for not choosing life, but we are going to be miserable. Because by not choosing God, we're saying we choose not to walk down a path of light and of good. And it's an internal path for me. That's my God that I believe in. It's the God that guides us inside and that reminds us to connect to people. And so this Torah portion, this poem, is a reminder to the Jewish people, choose life. Choose me. Remember to connect in. Remember to find your way as a people. Because if you don't, you're not going to be a people. You're not going to know what that means. So to some extent, Gary, what you're saying, you're not wrong. I'm not saying that God abandoned the Jews in the Holocaust. I will never say that. But what I will say is, if we forget to be a people, we forget how to help each other in the awful times of the Holocaust. That, to me, is chaos. That's what happened. Chaos happens in our world, and the Holocaust is a result of that. Forgetting God is not what brought the Holocaust. Forgetting God is when we forget to say, hey, we're sitting here together and we're suffering, and we don't see each other. It's when we say, we're suffering, let's help each other. That's when God comes in. And that's when we remember that this poem offers us an opportunity to connect. And that, for me, is what this poem is about. It's about remembering to connect. It's a veiled opportunity to say, we're all here. Let's be a community together. Okay? So once Torah is read, we lift it high for all to see. So we're going to lift it high, and I invite you to rise. And we show Torah to know. Nope, Noah. We show Torah to know that this is indeed what we read in the Torah from Sinai. It's a little heavy on the right side. Yes.
That's not uncommon to happen at this time of year.
No.
זאת התורה אשר סוף משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותום המאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך נשובה קדש קדש ימינו קדש ימינו
We stay standing and turn to page 282 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר
185.
היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
287. That's what I get for using the big prayer book. I know what the big page is. Please be seated. Fred, do you have some announcements for us? Our president, Fred Gruber, has some announcements for us tonight.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We got a lot of stuff going on. And we just came out of the most incredible high holy day services I can remember. But every year you guys always do it better than the last year.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure for next year.
So?
Every year on the way home,
That's
said,
right.
oh my God, how are we gonna top that?
I know.
Yeah.
So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, we're doing this next Friday.
Yeah.
Sukkot under the stars. How cool is that going to be? So you got to all show up and join us.
It's not here.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
yeah. It's at
home
our
of
house.
Dina and Rod
Mhm.
Feingold, and the dinner's at 5 and service is at 6:30. So, let's see. One of the best days that we have around here is Mitzvah Day. November 4th, we all get together.
Wait, there's Simchat Torah.
I know, I'm gonna
Oh,
go
okay.
back, I'm gonna go back.
Sorry. Okay, I
I'm
thought
just,
you were going
I'm just going through
chronological.
the,
Okay, I
I
thought you were
tried,
going
it wasn't
chron-
gonna work out, so I'm just going through the papers. So, it's one of the best things that we do as a congregation because of who we get to help. You know, kids that have to go into foster care, and we always get some great feedback as a result of it, so we need lots of help to get lots of materials for these kids. I think there's like 10,000 different items that we need to collect, so November 4th, we need help getting there, and then we need help on that day to pack the bags. I know that everybody shows up, so keep that date in mind, November 4th. So, as I said, we got lots of things going on. We got some speaker series coming up. Saving the World, Superman, Batman, and Noah. That's on October 12th. Rabbi Shana, I can't pronounce this last name. Brinjagard
Yeah.
Bialik, and artist Yitzchak Brinjagard Bialik. Two different people. Okay, husband, got it.
Rabbi Shauna and Isaac Bialik.
Bialik.
Let's
I'll
just
take
leave it
that.
at that.
Anyways, how about an artistic Shabbat? That sounds like a lot of fun. So-
Superheroes.
Superheroes. I like that.
Superheroes, Art Shabbat.
And then, on November 7th, we have two people coming, an Israeli settler and a West Bank Palestinian in conversation. And I will share with you that when we were in Israel, on the Israel trip that we just did this past year, we got to visit with this community and hear from some of the younger people. One was an Israeli settler as well as a Palestinian. And at the moment, we were hearing them tell us about how they're living and working together. It was like a biblical moment. The skies opened up and thunder and lightning. Well, this is all happening while they're talking to us, and the rains are coming down like crazy. It was really a monumental moment. You don't want to miss hearing them come and talk.
It's Wednesday, November 7th.
Yes, Wednesday, November 7th. That's an absolute must. You got to come see it.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then in January 11th, it's a Friday night service, and the president of the URJ is coming, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, and I had the pleasure of hearing him speak when I was at the Scheidt seminar before I became president. Amazing man, and it will be well worth hearing him speak. He usually only goes to congregations that are like thousands of members, so we're really fortunate to have him come join us in our not so small, but Hamisha congregation. So definitely don't miss hearing Rabbi Rick Jacobs speak. And then just a few more things. I already mentioned that. Simchat Torah on October 1st. You gotta be here for that. That's
The
like very
the
special.
band Locks Be a Lady Tonight will be playing.
Woohoo! All right. So you gotta be here for that.
The band has a new name every year, so this year the band is being called Locks Be a Lady Tonight.
Okay.
And next Saturday night, the Lennox are opening their home up to all of us.
For Sukkot.
Desserts in the Sukkah.
Sweets in the Sukkah.
Cool.
September 29th, Saturday night, everyone brings sweets, we'll provide after dinner.
We always have a lot. We always have a lot going on at Congregation Army. Yeah.
That's October 29th?
No, September 29th.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
part of Sukkot.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Saturday night. Sorry, okay.
And let's see. And then the last thing is Menshify begins Sunday, September 30th, and that's our new program. That's the follow-up to the Mishpacha program. We now have Menshify, and it's where parents and our clergy will have an opportunity to help kids learn how to become menshas.
And Kesher begins that Wednesday.
Right. And that's it. Shabbat Shalom.
To close out our service, to begin to close out our service, I'd like to invite Graham Becker to pray for us. The poem in your sheet before you got to the things that have been lost.
Things that have been lost. From newspaper columns and notice boards, I found out about things that have been lost. This way I know what people had and what they loved. Once my tired head fell on my hairy chest, and there I found my father's smell, again after many years. My memories are like someone who cannot go back to Czechoslovakia, or who is afraid to return to Chile. Sometimes I see again the white vaulted room with the telegram on the table.
We've come to the part of our service where we remember those who are no longer with us. There's someone you're thinking about this evening who passed at this time recently or in years past. I invite you to share their name aloud at this time.
Carolyn Wallen.
Cass Sutherland.
My mom and dad.
For those named and for those unnamed, we join on page 294 as a holy community in Mourner's Kaddish. We rise. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivarach Leolam Omeil Maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Dekudasha B'richu. Le'ela minko v'yirchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom mimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Osei shalom mimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Together we say, now I invite us to join in Hashkivenu, our prayer for peace. May God shelter us in peace as we go out tonight, and I invite us to put our arms around each other and
sing. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Shalom, ve'ha'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. V'rosalenu sukat shlomecha, v'rosalenu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wing. throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right. Oh, Adonai. Amen. 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 Amen.
Blessed as we were when we came into this place, blessed may we be as we go out. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
To join us in the Nashery for Kiddush and Motzi, and we